dungeons haunted by brutality.
They grabbed you. They called it being harpooned. There was no escape.
Dark wilderness hiding ferocious monsters. Cities crawling with the occult.
If I was a vampire, you would definitely not know until it was too late.
These are the top 10 spookiest places in North America. Go to the scene of the crime. Get the creeping sensation you're being watched, and see what lurks under the bridge. In this hour, we'll examine why so many rush in where angels fear to tread. Is it the thrill of the unknown? The adrenaline rush of being frightened out of your wits? Every year, thousands of tourists are drawn by the hypnotic pull of our top 10 spookiest places. Is truth spookier than fiction? We went to the source to find out. 10 of the most frightening destinations in North America. We ranked them according to fear factor. That's the level of scariness of each place multiplied by the probability of actual spooky encounters. What we found may surprise you, so sit back as we count down our list of the top 10 spookiest places. First up, the harrowing history of an underground kidnapping ring in Portland, Oregon. Number 10 on our list is the perfect setting for a spooky trap. Six feet down under. In a once treacherous port of call to the Orient, a netherworld of mazes hides a deep, dark secret of kidnapping and murder. You're trapped, and the only escape is out to sea, never to return. Welcome to the Shanghai Tunnel.
When they grabbed you, they called it being harpooned.
Believe it or not, over 100 years ago, a drink in the wrong Portland saloon could get you drugged and dragged through miles of underground tunnels to a waiting ship. You were promptly sold as a slave for blood money to captains desperate for an extra hand on deck. The kidnappers made a killing, and you were bound for Shanghai or beyond. Portland, Oregon is now a favorite city of the Northwest and home to 1.5 million inhabitants, many of whom don't know what lies just beneath its bustling streets.
Shanghai began in Portland in 1850.
Historian Michael Jones has been investigating the tunnels ever since he was 7 years old.
An old sea captain told me, if you really want to know about the history of Portland, you have to explore their Shanghaiing past. So he stood up and he said, if you don't believe me, follow me.
No one knows for sure who built the 5-mile labyrinth coursing under the city. Filled with blocked corridors, false walls, and broken chairs, the passageway looks exactly like it did a century ago, when as many as 1,500 victims a year were held captive here. One reason why we ranked Portland's underground tunnels number 10 on our list of spooky places.
The Shanghaiers didn't have to worry about going out and finding men. The men came to them, to the saloons. And when they were drunk, they dropped in through trapdoors. First thing that they would do would be to grab their shoes. So if they got away, they couldn't run too fast or too far, because the Shanghaiers would break glass and spread it throughout the underground.
Many of those who were shanghaied never made it to the ship. They perished here in the tunnels. Visitors often say they see their ghosts, like Nina, a prostitute who squealed on the Shanghaiers and paid a deadly price.
Nina was thrown down the elevator shaft. Ever since that night, her ghost has been sighted near the elevator and in this alleyway, which is known as the elevator room.
locked in a dark corridor. Steps from civilization in Portland, Oregon, surrounded only by a scarred and broken history. The Shanghai Tunnels, a spooky place and a haunting legacy.
And if you don't tell this story, it's bound to repeat and happen in the future. And we want to make sure that Shanghai is dead.
From innocent men shipped out to sea to hardened criminals sentenced to death by hanging, our number 9 spookiest place takes you all the way to Kentucky for a dead end. The commandment says thou shalt not kill. But in old Kentucky, the punishment would fit the crime. This courtyard witnessed scores of gruesome hangings. Welcome to the Bardstown Jailers Inn. The once notorious Kentucky lockup folks now say is haunted. The old Nelson County Jail was built in 1797, a time when the fastest draw had a license to kill. Sheriffs brought the roughest and the toughest criminals from miles around to be held within these cold stone walls and iron bars. Now the jail is converted to a modern-day inn, hosting guests whose only crime is a morbid curiosity. Located in Bardstown, Kentucky, the bourbon capital of the world, the inn's claim to fame are spirits. But these aren't the drinking kind.
The ghosts here, initially when I first started living here, bothered me. Every little creak, every little pop I heard seemed to make me think it was a ghost. I was very on edge. But I've been here 7 years now, and now the ghost and I live in harmony.
Many men died in their cells here, some say beaten to death. A wicked legacy that makes the Bardstown Jailers Inn number 9 on our list. After 200 years housing the bad and the ugly, some say even a former jailer can't rest in peace.
Miss Maxine McKay was a fabulous woman. She's very strict with the prisoners, but also had a tender heart. Her husband was jailer for her. Then he died, and she ran for office and won. And there's been some sightings of a peaceful woman standing over their bed.
The spookiest part of the inn is the courtyard. Out here, dozens of men met their maker. They say that dead men tell no tales, but some believe this rule doesn't apply to ghosts.
There was one gentleman that was a guest of mine. He said he came out here into the courtyard and talked to a man that was out here in the courtyard. The man said he turned away, turned back, and then the figure was gone.
Outlaws, murderers, thieves. A Kentucky slammer so tough on its prisoners that they don't stand a ghost of a chance. And yet, it's the only jail where honest citizens actually look forward to their stay.
It's a novelty to be able to stay a night in jail with us here. And the ghosts are just a plus here.
Think it's safe to go back into the water? Think again. Number 8 on our list of spooky places takes us to a lake in British Columbia, reputed to hide a prehistoric and sometimes deadly monster. In 1926, people in 30 cars saw it. In 1947, a group of boaters saw it. In 1989, a man and his wife. Over 200 sightings in all by credible people, including a priest, a doctor, and a police officer. It's been called a log by skeptics, a primitive whale by scientists, and the snake in the lake by witnesses. It's Ogopogo. But is this spooky creature a reality or just a nightmare?
I was just shocked. I wasn't scared. It was just quite a calming thing to see it. because I guess I really didn't know what it was until, and then all of a sudden it dawned on me what it was. It was Ogopogo.
Legend tells that the Indians would actually offer animal sacrifices to appease the water demon. Can you believe that European settlers even patrolled the shoreline in case of an attack? Today, the sightings continue, but the evidence remains inconclusive. Kenona is British Columbia's fourth largest city and sits on the shores of Okanagan Lake, where many swear they've seen the monster. The lake's best-known investigator is Arlene Gall.
I got into Ogopogo because I'm just a curiosity seeker, curiosity hunter. If anything occurs in Lake Okanagan, people do come to me.
Witnesses have described a long, sinuous body 20 feet long, a snake-like head, even a forked tail. Arlene believes that Ogopogo and other lake monsters like the Loch Ness Monster are all related.
We are just looking at an unidentified species that is common to most freshwater lakes throughout the world. We have 60 to 100 lakes in Canada alone where people are seeing somethings coming out of the water.
The day I saw Ogopogo was an evening just like this. The water was a little calmer. It was 8:45 at night. The sun was just starting to set.
Arlene recently investigated a sighting by Diana Sabine. To Arlene, it typifies the experience of coming face to face with the inexplicable.
And I looked up from our campfire, and there he was. At first I thought it was a seal, but then I know seals don't live up here in the Okanagan. I saw a hump come up out of the water about 2 feet, and about 50 feet farther down, as the one hump went in the water, the other hump came up and went into the water, and then it was gone. And I just couldn't speak. I couldn't call out, I couldn't do anything for a few minutes. I just couldn't believe what I'd just seen.
Ogopogo, fact or fiction? For Arlene and Diana, there's no doubt. A creature in Okanagan Lake that shares the heritage of lake monsters around the world. A spooky creature who's unforgettable.
I still get goosebumps talking about him.
Coming up on our top 10 spookiest places, it's said to be half man and half animal, but fully wild. Come hunt a big legend in Northern California.
I've been approached by bear, I've been approached by mountain lion, and I've been approached by things that I have no idea what they are.
And what do you call a thrashing tail, snapping jaws, and sharp teeth? An occupational hazard. Come fly by night with these croc chasers.
It's definitely a dark and spooky place out there.
10 spookiest places in North America. We're counting down the top 10, and next up is number 7. Brave the dense forest outside of Crescent City, California to track the fearsome Sasquatch.
I believe that there truly is a Sasquatch. I've had grown men not want to get out of their vehicles because they hear vocalizations that are fairly close to us.
Many claim it towers over 9 feet tall, covered head to foot in dark fur. It's said to possess superhuman strength, hurling huge objects, leaping fences, and bounding 20 feet in just 2 strides. In a spooky spot in the California woods, it's known simply as Bigfoot. Native Americans first saw it a century ago. They called it Sasquatch, hairy monster. Since then, there have been thousands of sightings and even 7 fatalities, all blamed on a bizarre species reputed to fall somewhere between ape and man. Today, Crescent City, California boasts the most Bigfoot sightings in America.
This is one area that we did hear a vocalization. We found probably 50 broken trees right in this area.
John Freitas knows the area like the back of his hand. He's been tracking Bigfoot for decades, and he's heard the screams.
At one point, the sounds were really light, and then it just got a little heavier and heavier, and then louder and louder.
There were sightings in the area. There was prints. There was a lot of circumstantial evidence left where these screams were being heard at. And that's why we believe that it's quite possible that this is a Sasquatch.
John has recorded the howling cries, and researchers say it doesn't belong to any known animal. Today, John will see if his recordings again have the charms to soothe the savage beast.
My approach is rather unique. I started this a few years back after looking at hunters using calls in order to bring in their game.
John and his assistant Jim head to a secret wooded grove outside Crescent City, what they believe to be a hot spot for Bigfoot encounters. One of the reasons why it's number 7 on our list of spooky places. The duo begins setting up all the equipment they'll need to lure the behemoth out of the woods. "15 minutes into the mission, nothing. They try again. The woods are silent. Ever get the chilling sensation that you're being watched? On a hunch, John decides to plunge deeper into the woods. Three and a half hours later, just when John's about to call it quits, he makes a discovery.
Wait a minute. Come here. Check this out.
He believes they're footprints, 5 or 6 of them, stretched across the forest floor.
Putting it right there. Look at. Looks like left, right, left, or right. Right, left, right, left, right. Where the hell did it go?
Mysterious tracks. Are these the signs of a hidden giant? Does Bigfoot really exist in these woods, or only in myths and legends? Who knows? But if you're tracking a Sasquatch, just be sure that you find it before it finds you.
There's something out there, and one of these days we'll find it.
Out of the enchanted forests of Northern California and into the murky waters of a nightmare in the canals of Florida City, our number 6 most spooky place. Its menacing grin spreads over 60 teeth, built to grab and tear its prey limb from limb. Its crushing jaws can exert 2,000 pounds of bone-breaking pressure per square inch, and with a whip of its tail, it can burst through the water at 15 miles per hour. This is the American crocodile, and in the dead of night, you'll find them lurking in the spookiest of places.
You do definitely have to be a lot smarter than the crocodile, because he doesn't want to get in the boat, and you want him to get in the boat.
He's turning right, so turn right already.
Did you know that crocodiles are the largest and most intelligent living reptiles? At one time, South Florida teemed with crocodiles, soon decimated by hunters. But recently, they've been making a comeback at a most unlikely place. Florida City, just 25 miles south of Miami, is a little town bordering on a huge natural wilderness. Today, the Turkey Point nuclear power plant has triggered a reptilian renaissance. The cooling canals of the plant are now known as croc country.
The growth rate of American crocs here at the power plant is higher than in the national park. There's a lot more bait fish and crustaceans here, and it's warmer and enables them to synthesize the food at a quicker rate, and thus they grow quicker.
Joe Wasilewski is the godfather of the American crocodile. As a biologist for the power plant, he regularly documents the size and growth of the population. So twice a month, this midnight cowboy rides an airboat into no man's land.
Crocodiles are easier to spot and capture at night. They're more active at night. They're out at night. At night, we shine a light.
There he is, there he is.
And we could spot an eye shine. Their eyes shine back from maybe a half a mile away.
I think he went that way, but I don't know.
Joining Joe tonight is his son, Nick. He's been handling crocs since he was a little boy.
Slow, Bob. Okay.
45 minutes from the dock, Joe and Nick spot their first croc and prepare to grab an ill-tempered animal barehanded in the dark.
Bringing him into the boat is, you know, that's probably the most dangerous part of the job, is because those teeth are going everywhere.
Once on board, they get the vital statistics of the croc. They measure its snout, its total length, and its weight. They look for microchips that help identify where and when it's been captured before.
I guess it's gonna be quick.
Deep in the pitch-black night of southern Florida, eyes flash in the water, and the chase is on. A father and son with steady nerves and quick hands are on the hunt, hoping to aid the rebirth of a natural wonder, the American crocodile.
Oh, he's a little too deep. Slow!
I love coming out here. It's one of my favorite old pastimes, is coming out here and jumping on an airboat, getting bit up by mosquitoes, and catching crocodiles.
Here we go. Here we go. Stop! No. Go on, it's right there.
Through the forests of Bigfoot country and into the crocodile-infested cooling canals of Florida City. But the best is yet to come. As our numbers get lower, the places get scarier. And our number 5 goes straight for the jugular. Vampires. Just uttering the word conjures up chilling images. Fangs dripping with blood, coffins covered in cobwebs, and bats flying under the cloak of night. But is it all just smoke and mirrors? Come to the French Quarter of New Orleans and see for yourself. For more than 2 centuries, the residents of New Orleans have claimed that vampires stalk their streets. In this town, visitors are warned to stay away from lonely streets, where some say faint footsteps lead to a flutter of wings, an unexpected touch, and a single bite. Kalila Smith believes that in the Big Easy, darkness reveals demons.
I found that vampire folklore indicated that some of the ways that one might be predisposed to vampirism was to be a murderer, a rapist, a thief, excommunicated by the church. And ironically, New Orleans was a penal colony. So it was colonized by these people who were sent out of Paris for this sort of behavior.
The Saint-Germain House. The story goes that in 1903, this is where Jacques Saint-Germain drank the blood of a young woman. Kalila believes this vampire still roams the streets, and she should know. This is also the spot where she was attacked.
I was lying in bed, still awake, and I felt a presence in the room. And within seconds, I felt a heaviness on top of me. It was almost like a paralysis. I couldn't move, I couldn't scream, but I was completely surrounded by some sort of energy.
In 1932, bodies were discovered at the Royal Street apartment building, bled dry. A young woman tipped off the police. They captured, executed, and buried 2 brothers. A year later, when they opened the tomb, it was empty. No bones, no ashes, nothing. Some estimate that vampires number over 16,000 worldwide. But if you want to meet a real live one, where would you go?
But I have the number, blood, yes.
The Crowbar. No garlic or crosses here. Only vampires like Rudy Raven, dressed to kill and ready to satisfy their hidden cravings. So is Rudy an immortal prince of darkness, or just a pretender to the throne?
If I was a vampire, you would definitely not know until it was too late.
How do these night crawlers quench their ravenous thirst? Not blood, but the next closest thing.
It tastes red.
So next time you visit New Orleans, beware of a peculiar form of Southern hospitality, or you could find yourself dead on arrival. From bloodthirsty tales from the crypt to tails, claws, and jaws, number 4 takes you to Colorado for an encounter with a spooky graveyard. Thundering footsteps, powerful jaws, and teeth like Bowie knives. They were the biggest creatures to ever roam the planet. Intelligent, strong, and fierce, they were unstoppable. And yet one day they vanished, leaving behind some astounding clues, like mysterious tombstones. First excavated in 1909, Dinosaur National Monument in Colorado is the world's largest collection of terrible lizards. Dan Chur is a paleontologist with the National Park Service. For him, it's a treasure trove of information, but he's careful not to wake the dead.
It's kind of like why we watch monster movies. We like to be scared. And I suspect if we were to see dinosaurs in life, they may come in colors that would be absolutely astounding to us.
Here in the boneyard, Dan continues the excavation, inching closer to another breakthrough, like what earned this park the number 4 spot on our list, the spooky skull of a brontosaurus.
This skull is one of the most important dinosaur specimens ever found at Dinosaur National Monument. Here's the opening for the eye. Here is the lower jaw. Here's the articulation for the lower jaw. And you can see a complete set of teeth right up here. And this is the first time that these teeth have been found with any, or actually in place in a skull. These are exceedingly rare to find.
When they ruled, the earth trembled at their feet. Yet they were doomed to extinction and frozen into the rock. Colorado's Dinosaur National Monument looks for answers. But a burning question remains. If it could happen to them, could it happen to us? Up next on the top 10 spookiest places, a modern-day witch hunt in Salem, Massachusetts. And don't get lost, because 2 children of the corn are about to tangle with a maddening maze. Welcome back to our countdown of the 10 spookiest places in North America. Number 3 takes us to one of the oldest cities in the United States, where there's a witch's cauldron a-brewing. This quaint New England town was once the site of a horrifying atrocity. Accusations flew. Neighbor turned against neighbor, and the accused pleaded for their lives. But the mob closed in. When the massacre was over, 19 innocent men and women were hanged on Gallows Hill. One was even crushed to death. Their crime? Witchcraft. In 17th century Massachusetts, black magic was widely feared as the work of the devil. So Christians declared witchery illegal, and it fueled into a fire that would erupt into the mass hysteria of the Salem witch trials. Today, many drive the 30 miles north from Boston to visit Salem and to explore its violent past. But did you know that witches still live in Salem? Their spooky spells make Salem, Massachusetts #3 on our list. Terry Calgren practices the ancient craft and insists that not all witches are wicked.
It's a belief system. It's some people are born into it, some of us convert. I was raised Irish Catholic and came to it, and I've been a witch for 20 years. Are we different than regular people? Only in the way that we, through spells, through incantations, we work the magic. Well, this is the charcoal you're going to need, and we have plenty of the incense.
In her shop, Artemisia Botanicals, Terry sells exotic potions. She also conducts classes for the next generation in casting the perfect spell.
We're honoring not only the gods with the top of the pentacle, but the 4 elements.
When the coven is gathered, they prepare the altar. Witches believe that the chalice, wand, and pentagram must be placed with perfect precision. Any error could risk offending the gods.
Gods and goddess, come join us in the ceremony.
Terry knows that even good spells can awaken bad energy, causing the charm to backfire. Terry and her apprentices cast a circle to protect them from harm.
Take it. Now you've finished. You've gone around the circle 3 times. So bow, honor the gods in the north.
So mote it be.
So mote it be.
The altar is set, the circle cast. The witches are ready. Today, they're conjuring a banishing ceremony.
Ask that this person be released from your life in a perfect way that is correct for you without harm to anyone.
May he move on into what his life should be and is supposed to be.
And with the power within you and the power within this sacred space, send it out into the cosmos.
They share ancient secrets and toy fate. They're the witches of Salem, Massachusetts, and they're alive and well in the 21st century. But not all spooky places are from the past. Our #2 is man-made to scare you out of your mind. Welcome to Colorado's Field of Screams.
Were we just right here?
This mega maze is a spooky abyss of blind corners and dead ends.
Oh, man. This is creepy.
A never-ending spiral that can drive all who enter to the edge of insanity.
I'm sure it's not Did we just come this way?
The labyrinth holds mythical power going all the way back to ancient Greece. Today, the naive wishing to tempt fate go to the Anderson family farm, home to the world's largest cornfield maze. Just 15 miles north of Denver, Colorado, this is a town whose name says it all: Erie.
We just wanted to be the biggest and the best.
The maze is open to the public in September and October, when the corn towers 10 feet high. The ominous headless horseman and his stagecoach sprawl over 22 acres. That's 6.6 dizzying miles of narrow corridors. For $7, you too can get lost in a crowd of corn.
Each maze is going to take about 45 minutes during daylight hours to navigate.
We're right here, I think.
Is it this big shaded black part?
That's where we're at, right there.
Right now, during the daytime, you've got some focal points around the farm. You can find the silo. At night, that's not possible, and it becomes exceedingly more difficult to navigate the maze.
Oh, man, wait.
Because you can get in this thing, and all of a sudden, north becomes south and east west. You can get turned around that quickly.
Second left, first right.
First right.
And then second left.
First left. Okay.
Okay.
I think we're going to get lost.
We kind of got it. Maybe.
Today, our willing guinea pigs are Mike and Shiloh. They must hurry or become victims to the night.
This way? This way.
Oh my God.
Don't get lost.
With the sun already dying in the sky, Mike and Shiloh rush through the thick, twisted snarl.
First right.
First right.
No.
And then second.
Yeah. Second.
Oh man, we're already lost.
The maze is harder than expected. Every stalk, every trail looks exactly the same.
Because we already took our second left out there.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we did. That was the one we came in on.
Mike, I think we're going the wrong way. I'm going to take
You gotta
charge.
trust me, girls.
Take over.
You're going in circles.
Woo! Yes! The wheel of the force.
Alright, just looking at it. Holy cow, number 2 is way out there.
Night has fallen, and they're still caught in a cruel jungle of endless bends and turns. This maze's claustrophobic corridors make it number 2 on our list. Dazed and confused, Mike and Shiloh slowly unravel.
Did we just come this way? Ah! I don't know. So frustrating.
They begin to slow down. They're at their wits' end.
Whoa.
Okay.
Is this it?
Finally, Mike and Shiloh shake free of the tangled labyrinth.
Is this it?
This is it. This is the end.
It took them 3 hours to escape, but they'll never forget the passage, especially those mind-bending turns and dark corners of this monster maze. Don't go away, because it's almost time to reveal the spookiest place of all. Here's a hint. They are some people's greatest phobia, and will take you to a place where they number in the millions. Up next, our number 1 spookiest place. Our spine-chilling countdown is winding down, and it's finally time to reveal our number 1 spooky place. But first, here's a review of our journey so far. At number 10, Portland's Shanghai Tunnels. Number 9, the Jailers Inn of Bardstown, Kentucky. Number 8, Okanagan Lake in British Columbia. Number 7, Bigfoot Country outside Crescent City, California. Number 6, the cooling canals and crocodiles of Florida City, Florida. And number 5, the French Quarter of New Orleans. Number 4, Colorado's Dinosaur National Monument. Number 3, Salem, Massachusetts. And number 2, Denver's terrifying Mega Maze. Which brings us to the great-granddaddy of them all, the spookiest, scariest, freakiest place around. This spot cranks up the fear factor to a whole new level of terror. The startling numbers and proximity to mortals of what lurks under the Congress Avenue Bridge might be more than flesh and blood can stand. But it's more than enough to earn Austin, Texas the top spot in our countdown. They're known as the witch's pet and the vampire's disguise, darting through the night and sucking blood. We flee in a panic, covering our heads. They're incredible and nasty animals. Like a tornado, these bats take the night. This is Austin, Texas, the state capital. It's got a small-town atmosphere with big city sophistication. It also happens to be Bat Central. 20 years ago, the Bats decided to make the city's Congress Avenue Bridge home, and the fearful residents began to panic until Batman came to the rescue.
This is kind of the hub for the Mexican free-tailed bats. That's why they come, and they give birth, they're weaned, their mothers teach them how to fly, and then they will migrate back to Mexico in the winter When they first arrived, people were freaked out. In fact, the local newspaper had headlines that read, "Bat colony sinks teeth into city," and "Mass fear in the air as bats invade Austin."
Today, Bob's 8-year mission continues, alerting Austin to the skills of the swarm. He always begins at the BCI headquarters. These Mexican free-tailed bats are injured and can't fly, perfect subjects to view up close. But it still takes an expert to hold the creepy membrane body. Watch out for the fangs.
What these are her thumbs. And she uses her thumbs in order to pull herself upright. And her ears she uses to catch all the sounds in the room. And as you can see by her eyes, they're very large, and she has excellent eyesight.
I've heard that the bats were always a big attraction down here, but didn't really realize how big it was.
Bob's crusade leads to the shore along the Congress Avenue Bridge. This is where every summer around late August, people from all over the world crowd around to witness the magic moment.
She's probably going to freak out.
I just want to see a lot of bats flying off. Yeah. Far away from me.
The bats slowly begin stirring, preparing for their decadent feast. And then it starts. A blanket of darkness across the sky. 1.5 million bats. The crowd's mesmerized.
These bats can fly out of the bridge at 25+ miles per hour, heading straight up in the air, catching winds at higher elevations, speeding up to more than 60 miles per hour at elevations of 10,000 feet. That's why I call them the jet fighters of the bat world.
I'd heard that there was a lot of bats, but I had no idea how many there would be.
And then they're gone into the dead of night to feed on thousands of innocent insects and spook the phobias of millions. The bats of Austin. From graveyards of the past to the lairs of monstrous nightmares, you've just taken a hair-raising tour of the top 10 spookiest destinations. Some are based on fact, some based on legend. All share one thing in common. The only thing to fear when you visit is fear itself.